Daf Kuf Chafam at Beis will begin on Daf Kuf Chafam at Aleph, the Mishnah at the bottom of the Amud. Zok the Mishnah, Yashnu Miksasan Yechelo. If part of the Chabura fell asleep, they started to eat the Korban Pesach. Part of the Chabura fell asleep, then when they awake, they can continue eating. Kulan lo yechelo. But if they all fell asleep, they can't continue. The Korban Pesach has to be eaten in one place. They can't be eaten in two separate places. Falling asleep is considered to be a hezchadas. So therefore, if they fell asleep, it's considered to be now eating in a new place. But if part of the chabur is still awake, then it still joins them together. If they all fell asleep, then it's considered to be in two separate places. We'll see the Gemara will define what we mean by falling asleep. Now, even though we consider the hezchadas to be the falling asleep to be hezchadas l'gabi the Korban Pesach, and it's considered to be a new achila, this is l'gabi the din of the Korban Pesach. We don't say this l'gabi brachas about falling asleep in a suda. Then we paskin that is different. It has a different criteria. It's not considered a hezchadas the way it is considered by the Korban Pesach. The Rashbam holds that this applies also to the Afikaimen, the Achila Laikaimen, Bizmanaseh, which corresponds to the Achilas of Pesach. That's a Machlis. Rishonim and Tosfos disagrees. Other Rishonim do agree with the Rashbam that it also applies nowadays about falling asleep. Zog the Mishnah Vayta Rabbi Yossi, Aimer, he says, this namnu yachelu. So, how do we define falling asleep? This namnu, if they doze, they can continue eating. Nirdamu lo yachelu. But if they fell into a deep sleep, they can't continue. Now, there's a machlekes rishonim what this is referring to. According to the Rashbam, it says that dozing is we're makel by dozing, but not by a deep sleep. The Rashbam holds that what we're referring to over here is that when the Mishnah says the kula of when part of the chabura is fell asleep, but the other ones are awake, you can continue eating. But even there, what we say that part of the chabura fell asleep, you can continue, that's only if they were dozing. But if they fell into a deep sleep, if it's nirdamu, even if it's only part of the chabura, they can't continue. That's the shita of the Rashbam and the Rosh, but the Rambam, other Rishonim learn no, that he's referring to the second part of the Mishnah. It says if they all fell asleep, you can't continue. When are we machmir and say if they all fell asleep, you can't continue? That's if they were nirdamu. But if they were only dozing, even if it's all of them, then you could continue. Zog the Mishnah Vayta, Pesach acha chatzais, the Korban Pesach after chatzais, metamas yadayim, is considered to be, at that point, it's considered to be nicer. You can't eat the Korban Pesach after chatzais, as we'll see in the Gemara, and therefore, like dinim of korbanos, which are apostle, like nicer, it's metamas yadayim. With the Rabbanan, there's a gzera that you have to wash your hands. The hands become tummy. Midaraisa, there's no such thing as hands becoming tummy, not the body. It's a chumra derabbanan metamas yadayim, and similarly, the Mishnah says of pigel, v'anaiser metamas yadayim, pigel and nicer, that the korbanos became tummy through pigel, through machshava, and that the avodah was done to eat the korban chutz l'zmana, or nicer, if in fact it became left over after the time period, then it's metama it's metama yadayim. Zok the Gemara, Rav Yossi, Ayman, it's namnu yachelu, near the Malay yachelu. So Rav Yossi in the Mishnah, they made a distinction between dozing and between falling into a deep sleep. How do we define dozing? Omar Rav Ashi says, nim v'loy nim, tir v'loy tir. He's asleep, but not completely asleep. He's awake, but not completely awake. Nishtahin, nishtaher. For example, going to Kari Lev Ani, if they call him, he'll answer. But he's not awake enough in order to give a proper svara, proper reasoning. But when they remind him of something, he remembers. So that's considered dozing. That's what we consider to be dozing. Abaya coming to Rab. Abaya was sitting before Rab. Chazat Kamanam, he saw that Rabba was dozing. Omrle, he said to him, Meinim ka noimar. He said that Master, you're sleeping. Amrlei. So he said, Menume kamename. I was only dozing. Utzanan nisnamnu yoichelu near the mulo yoichelu. And it's only by a deep sleep. But dozing is not a problem. So from here, the Rashbam brings a raya, like we mentioned before, that this is nagei even b'zman hazeh, this din of sleeping. It's nagei even b'zman hazeh for the achilas havikaimen. So he brings a raya from this Gemara. Now, according to the Rambam, that we said that this issue of sleeping, and this issue is only if it's the entire chabura, but not if part of the chabura. Then what is the problem over here? Whether Rabbah, when he fell asleep, Abai was still awake, Abai was present, and even if Rabbah was sleeping, why should it be a problem? Abai is present, and according to the Rambam, the issue is only if the entire chabura is sleeping. But if it's only part of the chabura, there's no distinction between dozing and sleeping. So the Achronim suggests that perhaps Abai was not part of the Seder. He came only afterwards, while Rabbah was still continuing his Seder, and Abai was not part of the Seder. The Mishnah said that HaPesach HaChatzois Metamas Yadai. According to Pesach, after Chatzois, it's considered nicer, and it's Metama the Yadai. It seems to be machlokes rishonim here. When we say it's nicer, now what does that mean exactly? So, as the Gemara will explain, that we're going according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that holds that the Korban Pesach can only be eaten until Chatzos. It can't be eaten after Chatzos. Much from the Rashbam. Therefore, after Chatzos, it's already considered to be nicer daraisa. It's considered nicer min atayra. But other Rishonim, it's mashma that not that way, that even though he says it must be eaten by chatzos, but it's not considered nicer min hatayra until the morning. It's only midrabbanan considered to be nicer. So zok the Gemara al chatzos, havalei nicer. It's nicer from chatzos. Man Tana, who's the Tana that holds that way? Amar Rav Yosef, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Tana is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. This Tanya we learned the Brayso of Achlos Habasa B'Layla Hazeh. The pasuk says that you have to eat the meat of the Korban Pesach B'Layla Hazeh. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer Nemar Kan B'Layla Hazeh. It says in reference to Korban Pesach B'Layla Hazeh. V'Nemar La'alan V'Avarti Beretz Mitzrayim B'Layla Hazeh. And it says that Lagabi Makas B'Chayres, I'll pass through Mitzrayim on this night B'Layla Hazeh. Ma La'alan Ad Chatzos, just like over there. It's referring to Chatzos. That's when the Makas B'Chayres was Avkan at Chatzos. So you see, therefore, the Korban Pesach can only be eaten till Chatzos. Amalei Rabbi Kiva, no, V'aloi Nemar Chipazon. The Torah says that you should eat the Korban Pesach B'Chipazon in haste, quickly. Ad Shas Chipazon, which means until the time of Chipazon. When was it Chipazon? When was it that Bnei Yisrael were rushing to go out of Mitzrayim? When did they leave? That was in the morning. Therefore, you can eat the Korban Pesach until the morning. So why does it say balayla? Why does it tell me that you eat the Korban Pesach on this night? If I know that if you can eat it until the morning, that you therefore can eat it till the nighttime. So therefore, it's to teach me. It's to teach me that it has to be eaten dafki at night and not in the daytime. Now, because normally you bring kachim, you bring a korban, so you bring it during the daytime, you do the avodah, and you do the shlit, the zrika, etc., and you can start eating it that day. And you eat it that day and into the night, and if they're kachim kalim, into the next day. But you eat it from the day that you bring the korban. You might think the korban pesach is the same thing. You bring it on Yudalit, and you can start to eat it already from the day of Yudalit. No, so the korban pesach is different. You can't eat it on Yudalit on the daytime. You have to wait till the nighttime, the night of Tesvav. It's only eaten in the nighttime and not in the daytime. So therefore, can be eaten the whole night. And this that it says the night balayla is to teach me that it's eaten in the nighttime and not in the daytime, but the zman according to Rabbi Kiva is the whole night. The Gemara of Rabbi Kiva, hay hazeh mibaya amayavidlei. Well, what does he do with hazeh? According to According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Hazeh is for Gzera Shava to teach me Chatzos. What does Rabbi Kiva do with Hazeh? More answers me boil and muter laila acher udalsa, to teach you this night, not a different night. I mean, I might have thought to say Hoil of Pesach Kachim Kalam Shlam Kachim Kalam. I might have thought to say that both Pesach and the Korban Shlam are Kachim Kalam. And therefore, I might have said, just like shlamim are eaten for 2 days and a night. So if a person brings a korban shlamim, let's say on Sunday, so he can eat it Sunday, Sunday night, and Monday. And he can eat it, therefore, 2 days and a night. So I might have thought that the Korban Pesach should be similar. Now, Korban Pesach, I can't eat it on, if you dull it, for instance, on Sunday, you can't eat it on Sunday because of what we just said, that it has to be eaten at night. But I might say, correspondingly, Pesach, I put the night in place of the day. So therefore, I would say it can be eaten for Sunday night, and it can be eaten now also on Monday night. I would take 2 nights in place of the 2 days. And therefore, I would say that it can also be eaten on Monday night. There's a machlokes of Rishonim. What does that mean? And does that mean that he can eat it Sunday night, Monday and Monday night? Or does it mean, and that's the way the Rashbam is mashma, or like Rashi, that it is Sunday night? I would have to skip the day because it can't be eaten during the daytime, and then again he'd be able to eat it on Monday night. So therefore, because of Rahman Hazeh, that's why they teach you Hazeh this night and no other night. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Amalach leimi leisesiru ad baiker nafke. He says, no, I know that. I don't need a limud for this to tell me this night not another night, because it says don't leave over until the morning. So therefore, it obviously cannot be eaten past the morning. Rabbi Kiva Amalach, he'd say, no, ilay kosev Rahman Hazeh, if not for the fact that it's specified Hazeh, havamina baiker sheni, I would say don't leave it over to the morning. Which morning? It means Tuesday morning. It means the second morning. Therefore, it has to teach me that it's only on this night it can be eaten and no other night. Elazar, he says, Amalach, no, you don't need a limit for that. Kol hechel si baiker risha. Whenever the Torah says baiker, it means the first morning. I wouldn't need a limit to tell me that it doesn't mean the second morning. Rava said, Achol matzah b'zman hazeh chatzayis. If someone nowadays where there's no Korban Pesach, if he ate the matzah after chatzayis, after midnight, the Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah lo yasidei chavasa. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, said the Korban Pesach must be eaten by chatzayis, so the matzah as well. He's also not yoytze matzah. Matzah also has to be eaten prior to chatzayis. In fact, the more pshita, the keved is kesla Pesach, Pesach dami. There's a hakish, there's a comparison to Pesach. So just like the Korban Pesach has to be eaten by chatzayis, so to the matzah, the pasuk says al matzah samaroim yachlu. So therefore, they have to be eaten in the same way. So pshita. More answers about the same way you might have thought. You might have thought that no, but another pasuk removes it from the hakish. The pasuk says Sheishes Yom Tachal Matzos V'Yom Hashvi, and it says on the Yom Hashvi Atzeres L'Shem Elokecha. So we learned to say that just like we darshan to say that just like the 7th day, it says 6 days, not the 7th day, so too the 6 days. So meaning, it comes to teach you that there's no chiyuv of matzah. There will be no chiyuv of matzah, meaning if there's no chiyuv, you would say therefore that there's no chiyuv of eating matzah on the 6 days. It's a rishus. And perhaps he would say that there is not even a chiyuv of eating matzah on the first night when there's no Korban Pesach. So the pasuk removed the chiyuv of matzah, meaning based on this pasuk, it shows you that based on this limit, it shows you that there's no chiyuv of eating matzah on the 6 days. Now you might have said it includes even the first night. Even the first night, well, there's clearly a chiyuv to eat matzah on the first night. It says al matzahs marayim yachlu, but you might have thought that's only when there's a Korban Pesach. So based on this pasuk, it removes it from this hakish to the Korban Pesach. So might have thought that it's now removed from the hakish. Now, even though the Torah makes a chiyuv to eat matzah regardless, because it says berav toichlu matzahs, but you might have thought that it's already removed from the hekesh, and therefore it's not connected necessarily and always to the achila of the Korban Pesach, and you might say that even though the Korban Pesach has to be eaten by chatzos, the matzah does not have to be eaten by chatzos. So you might therefore have said that according to Rav Elazar ben Azariah, matzah b'zman hazeh can be eaten after chatzos. Kamash Malan, Rava teaches you the chiyahadra kol milsa kamaisahadra. When the pasuk reinstates it, be'erev toichlu matzah, it reinstates the chiyuv to eat matzah. Meaning, don't think that the 6 days are rishus, including the first night. No, the first night not rishus. It's reinstating the chiyuv of eating matzah, and it's reinstating the hekesh. So it has to be eaten at the same time, within the same time limit as the Korban Pesach by chatzos.